Today, Governor Tony Evers announcing a state grant for nearly $2 million to help cover those public safety costs from the NFL draft.
This will benefit the city of Green Bay, Village of Ashwaubenon, and Brown County, so good news for those communities after the Joint Finance Committee last week rejected a reimbursement plan. Taylor Ziebel joining us live in the studio with more from public safety officials' reaction. Taylor?
Chris, the city of Green Bay, Village of Ashwaubenon, and Brown County are thrilled that now that they are getting the financial help they were hoping for. The three-day NFL draft brought 600,000 attendees to the league's smallest market, estimating more than $94 million in economic impact to Wisconsin. Governor Tony Evers and Mayor Eric Genrich announced that the grant will be funded through the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. This is the same grant that Representative David Steffen applied for.
Great news for the property taxpayers of Brown County. Having that amount of money covered by WEDC through the state is tremendous. So it's a great impact. Glad it came through.
Local public safety officials are grateful for the help.
A big strain, and again, we'd have had to come up with some solutions to try and figure that out. But again, it was probably at a point where it would not be manageable for us with our budget. So this really makes a difference.
The Green Bay Fire Department is receiving over $400,000, whereas the Green Bay Police are receiving $530,000. That money will go toward their overtime budgets.
Our overtime budget every year by the end of the year is very tight, and spending almost half of that on one event would have forced us to make some really difficult decisions, and we never want to have a negative impact on public safety, obviously. So this makes that task a whole lot easier.
What is left over will go toward the Village of Ashwaubenon and Brown County. Senator Jamie Walz sent out a statement saying, quote, "I am delighted that Governor Evers did what the Republicans on the state budget writing committee failed to do last week. Recognize that our community's investment in public safety during the NFL draft benefited all of Wisconsin. The $1.8 million grant from the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation ensures that our local property taxpayers are no longer left holding the bill." This grant not only helps local public safety, but it also saves taxpayers from helping foot the bill. Cammie?